used to be a director on Voltron. I'm an animation director.
Hi, my name is Grant Alexander, character designer at Pixar.
おはようございます。トリガーのプロデューサーの若林です。よろしくお願いします。
I am Trigger's producer, Wakabayashi.
はい、おはようございます。
Good morning.
スタジオカラーのディレクターとデザイナーの小林です。
I am director and designer of Studio Khara, Kobayashi.
はい。
デザイナーの小山Shigetoと申します。よろしくお願いします。
Designer Koyama Shigeto from Trigger.
Yeah, some of you are on mono right now. Oh,
So, we were really lucky to have all of you folks come out to Kumoricon this year. Laika is actually based here in Portland. They had a film come out last year, Kubo and the Two Strings. And if you are interested and live in town, they have an exhibit going on at the Portland Art Museum right now that shows a lot of the behind the scenes stuff. So, kind of what's different about the style of animation that Laika does compared to like your traditional 2D animation or even now computer 3D animation?
Thank you. It's complicated. All forms of animation are so complicated. There's so many different elements involved. At Laika, we focus on stop motion, obviously with puppets. So the main difference between 3D or 2D and Laika is the fact that we create our worlds tactilely with tangible props and puppets and everything. And for each one of our films, we actually do a animatic in 2D. We do a 3D version of the film, and then we also do stop motion. It's a long process. I think Pixar, you can talk about also the process for your films, but it's about a 5-year process from beginning to end.
And I know that the change from 2D animation and hand-drawn to using computers has changed the industry quite a lot. So, kind of everybody, how has the industry changed your job over the years with the introduction of computers and being able to communicate with animators across the world, maybe working on the same project and whatnot? Anybody want to say?
For TV, it's still mainly the same, I would say, because it's still predominantly 2D right now. But I guess the only big difference is, so I'm currently storyboarding, directing right now, and we all work on a program called Toon Boom, and it's super convenient. It's easy to storyboard on, and we work with Studio Mir, and they do all our boards on Voltron right now, and that's how we communicate through the same program and stuff.
Well, there was kind of a change though in 2D with the advent of Flash though, right? So there's a lot of 2D hand-drawn, on paper and pencil or whatever, and that kind of has changed the look a little bit of 2D animation, I think.
Yeah, that's true. I worked at Tim House for a little bit on Motor City, and that was also animated in Flash, like you said. So, yeah, definitely it has changed in a way where maybe not everything is done on paper per se, but it's still 2D, but it's done on the computer.
For me, I think for the most part, like in school, it was a lot of focus on traditional techniques like oil painting, drawing with charcoal, that kind of stuff. But I feel like coming out of school, like it was kind of the crest of like digital was kind of at the same time. So it's kind of always been with us. But as we talked about in our panel yesterday with Trigger, I think the internet has changed just the ability to collaborate, which is a huge thing. But I think in terms of just the mediums, I personally hope that 2D still lives on, and I don't think it's going anywhere, just like I don't think stop motion is going to go anywhere. It's just going to find different forms of funding or interesting projects or ways of getting those things made that'll keep it alive. But I think 2D is going to be around for a while. I think CG is still in its infancy, really, in terms of the possibilities and the artistic quality of CG. I think it's just going to get more interesting and more nuanced. So I think that we're just kind of in the beginning of what CG can do, and so I look forward to kind of seeing where it goes and what we're able to do with it as a medium.
やっぱ海外だとやっぱりもう 3D が主流になってると思うんだけど、やっぱり日本ではまだ2D が主流なんですよね。やっぱり作品がテレビで放送されてる作品の数がだいぶ違うんで。
So I believe that there's a difference between animation in Japan versus the United States. For example, here in the United States, 3D seems to be more dominant, and then whereas in Japan, 2D is much more dominant, especially on TV. You'll see much more 2D animation rather than 3D animation.
なんかそのピクサーとかみたいなそのフル 3D のなんかその 3D アニメーションだとやっぱりまだ僕らはやっぱり馴染みは出てきてるんですけど、やっぱりこのトゥーンシェードみたいなその 2D の作画風の 3D アニメーションっていうのがなかなかやっぱりその僕ら 2D のアニメーションをメインで仕事をしている人たちからするとなんか納得いくクオリティにまだ日本のクオリティが達してないんで、まあなかなかまだ完全なる切り替えが難しいなという印象もまだありますね。その日本のその 2D アニメーションに、近づけた 3D そのトゥーンシェードっていう様式の 3D があるんですけど、それがまあいつかその僕らが作ってる手書きのね 3D 手書きの作画に近づくとは思ってるんだけど、まだそのクオリティがそこまで達してないんで、なかなかまだその 3D に全部切り替えるのが日本だと難しいなっていう印象があります。
So we are kind of interested in the amazing techniques that 3D can provide, 3D animation can provide, but as far as where we stand right now, it's a little difficult and we're having some difficulties trying to blend in 2D and 3D or trying to go directly fully 3D like Pixar is.
でっていうの、ここの横にいる小林さんはそんな3D 日本で 3D トゥーンシェードに近いその 3D アニメーションを作っている方なんですけど、その
This guy sitting right next to me, Kobayashi-san, he is, I guess, a little more experienced when it comes to 3D animation.
でその中でもその僕唯一すごいクオリティ高いと思ったそのトゥーンシェードのアニメーション 3D のアニメーションがその彼が作ったカセットガールっていうアニメーションが素晴らしい出来だと思ってました。
And so one of the things he made, Cassette Girl, I believe that had really good, by using 3D technology, he was able to have much more details and techniques applied to it, which I really, really look up to.
Have you guys seen Cassette Girl? Everyone? Yeah, that was all done. That was all CG. Very interesting technique. Maybe Kobayashi-san can talk a little bit about how they achieved that look.
そのやっぱり日本は今作品がたくさんあるんですけど、やっぱりスタッフもすごく少ないんですよ。だからその作品がたくさんあるからいい人がいろんなところに行かなきゃいけなくて、一つの作品のクオリティを上げられないっていう現状もある。
So our staff is not too big, it's rather small, and with that, but even so, we've created many things, and each of us in the small range of staff are talented in our own ways and are making things that fit well for ourselves.
で僕は今そのスタジオカラーではメインで 3DCG を担当してるんですけど、やっぱりそのスタジオカラーは割とその 2D と 3D のハイブリッドアニメーションを得意としてるというか、それをすごくやってるんで、まあスタジオ全体が。
And I'm pretty much in charge of the 3D CG part of this studio, and everyone here in the studio is also pretty experienced when it comes to CG animation.
だからでも今はお客さんがそのより日本のアニメ的なものを求めてると思うんで、そのカセットガールでは 3DCG でどれくらいその、作画とその馴染むというか親和性が高いものを作れるかっていう実験だったんですね。
And I forgot to mention the last part he said. They're also experienced with the hybrid of 3D and also CG, so that's what they're good at. And then with that in mind, with the Japanese audience knowing that they really like 2D, they decided to make Cassette Girl, which is that hybrid of the 3D CG and 2D animation.
だからまあ別にそういう意味ではその今はこのスタイルをすごく研究してるけど、もしかしたらそのね、やっぱりそのみんなボルトロンとかでもやってるし、そういうのでなんだろうな、ボルトロンとかうまくハイブリッドアニメーションがうまくいってる作品だと思うんですよね。
So right now we're experimenting with this hybrid animation style, just like how Voltron is. You guys have this hybrid of 3D and CG and 2D going on. Yeah.
だからそういうのもあるし、もしかしたら全然違う、それこそピクサーとかが作っているようなスタイルのアニメーションをスタジオカラーとかが作る可能性もあるなと思います。
And so I think it is a possibility with this hybrid style going on. I think there's a possibility that Studio Khara might do a fully 3D animation just like Pixar.
それはね、まあ、トリガーもそうかもしれないです。その
Maybe trigger.
変化をしてるかこれからまだわからないですが、今アメリカよりも日本の方が今変化の途中みたいな感じありますかね。
Yeah, so but I'm not entirely certain, but I think we are in the process of having this change of 2D to 3D or the hybrid.
そうかな。
I think.
So Mark had mentioned that it can take up to 5 years to produce a full-length feature film in animation, and so what's your job what's everybody's job in this process of production, and like how long do you work on a particular project before it gets handed off to the next person in production? Or are you involved in the entire thing?
Sorry about that. So for TV production, usually boards it ranges from maybe 4 weeks to 5 weeks of production, and then I'll get it from the board artists as the clean boards, and I would have about 4 months to make it into a shipping animatic, which goes over to Studio Mirror. And maybe Steve, do you know how long it usually takes? I'm not really sure. about like a month, right?
So every episode, so TV has a very tight schedule compared to feature animation. I mean, in United States when we do pre-production, we do also have a very tight schedule. Just like Eugene said, we have like about 6 months to complete the whole episodes from script to ready to send it to overseas. Mirror Studio, I believe every 3 months they produce 1 episode from the scratch to finished color. I believe the animators, especially key animators, they work on each episode only a month and they move on to the following episode. So it's a very tight schedule and everyone's working very hard every night. It'll be fun. It was funny to visit Mirror Studio. They had a special room where animators can take a sleep. They had like extra beds.
Even going back to like the old Disney days, are usually like a minimum of 4 years in production and as much as 7 years depending on if they have like really bad story problems or a director change. But I think Brave was 7 years from beginning to end, and they also had a director change. But I think the smooth films like Toy Story 3, that's like 4 years, where the story is always progressing in a positive direction. There's definitely changes that need to be made, but there's never any sort of big overhaul that has to happen. And then in terms of what I do, I'm usually on a film anywhere from 2 years to 3 years, but I think the average is about 2 years. And if you're talking specifically about design, a main character or main characters for a film could take a year, maybe 2, just to land, because they're putting so much stake in that character, and really focused, in terms of like characters like Buzz and Woody and things like this. Like they're hoping to create a memorable character that will live with people for a long time, and so that process is a pretty long, arduous one as the director, develops the story and kind of maybe he has something he likes at one point, but then the story changes or the story evolves, and so the character design has to move with the story, and so they'll go through lots of changes over several years. And then in terms of like secondary characters, those tend to go a little bit quicker, because once you have the kind of main puzzle pieces in place in terms of characters, you can fit all the other ones to support those roles. So those are usually a little bit easier. Sometimes it can be very quick, like a month, or a little bit longer, but it's usually much quicker than the main characters.
非常によくグラントの話も分かります。
We totally understand what Grant just said, relate to what he said.
僕らもそのグレン・ラガンだったりキルラキルっていうその勝負するテレビシリーズのタイトルを作るときはやっぱり4年以上、やっぱり5年ぐらいその構想期間からその制作終わるまでにやっぱりかかってしまうんですよね。
Yeah, so in really action-packed series such as Gurren Lagann and Kill la Kill, that takes about 4 to 5 years from start to finish.
やっぱりその全26から7のエピソードを、テレビシリーズ日本だと作っているんですけど、
So we're making 26 to 27 episodes in Japan.
非常に多くのスタッフが自分の会社以外の関わってるスタッフが多いので、やっぱりうちの監督の今井氏はやっぱりその関わった一人一人のスタッフがこのプロジェクトが終わった時にやっぱりこの作品に参加したことで次の大きな作品によりみんなの仕事がステップアップできるような作品にしなければいけないっていうことを重要に考えています。
And since we work with so many people, our director Imaishi, he tries his best to kind of step it up and work well with everyone else.
なんで日本のスタジオもスケジュール一応厳しいんですけど、
So the schedule and the Japanese side of studios, they're also pretty tight.
クリエイティブのスタッフはみんなそのスケジュールと戦いながら限界までもう許される限り粘ってそのより面白いものよりいいものそのファンが喜ぶものをそのアニメーションの映像に作り込めるようにもう本当に怒られながら限界まで粘り続けてその時のベストを常に出し続けるっていうことを僕らのスタジオでは続けています。
So at our studio, we're kind of well known for fighting against the schedule and doing our best and kind of begging to be able to fit in the best and greatest thing we could do for the characters and the story to make it interesting for the audience.
でさっきグラントがその主人公のキャラクターデザインするにはやっぱ1年ぐらい時間がかかったと言っていましたが
And Grant said that you take about a year to finalize on a main character.
そう僕らもそのスタジオトリガーとしては一発目のその勝負タイトルであった「キルラキル」という作品の主人公のデザインを作るのに、それ小山さんも一緒にデザインチームだったんですけれど、本当に僕らも1年から1年半ぐらい、デザイン、その主人公だけじゃないですけど主人公とそのメインのキャラクター含めてのデザインですけどやっぱり主人公に関しては1年から1年半デザインをずっと作り続けてやっと誕生したキャラクターになります。
So in our case though, for example Kill la Kill, with the main character and not just the main character but also the other important side characters or slash main character, it takes about a year to a year and a half to finalize on a character that will be so great.
でもなんかそのどんだけ粘ってでも絶対納得のいくいいものを作るっていうそのマインドはやっぱりこのお隣の僕らの兄貴分の会社のスタジオカラーの要は安野秀明と鶴巻和也による教えだったりするんで、鶴巻和也。
So our kind of begging for like extended time or something to finalize on a character. I think we got that from the studio Khara folks, Ando Hideaki and Tsurumaki-san. I think we got that personality from them being our older brother kind of figure studio.
彼らには未だに会うたびにその作品妥協するなと未だに言われ続けてます。妥協要はその悩み続けろとずっと。
Whenever we meet them, they always tell us you have to keep contemplating about the characters. Don't slack off on their designs. Just you gotta keep thinking until you get the best results.
やっぱりその映画3本作るのに10年以上時間をかけているスタジオが言うとやっぱ説得力が違うなと。映画を3本作るのに10年以上時間をかけているスタジオなんでスタジオカラーはやっぱ説得力が違う。
Studio Color to make 3 films, they take over 10 years. So that's that kind of studio, and they're telling us this kind of advice. So that's how it goes.
いろんな理由があるんですよ。
We have lots of reasons for that.
いろんな理由がある。
Yeah, we have lots of reasons for that. Yeah, we can
そ
explain.
う、シン・ゴジラがあるの。
Like the Shin Godzilla, the Godzilla live action.
4本ですよ。映画4本、10年。
Yeah, there's 4 movies for that.
10 years ね。
And that took 10 years.
それピクサー的にはどうなんですか10年で4本。
What does Pixar think about that? Like having 4 movies in the span of 10 years.
I don't know if we can talk too much because, like I said, I think Ratatouille was like 6 years and Brave was 7 years. So I think... But I think it's just the difficulty when you actually care about making something. You have to balance the commercial side and the artistic side, but I think we're in a unique position where, because of our relationship with Disney, and they kind of understand it's more important to put out something quality that's going to last than just push something out for commercial gain. And I mean, there is a balance and there are consequences. I think when we postponed The Good Dinosaur, which was supposed to release that summer, we had our first layoffs ever at the studio as a consequence of that, because I mean that's millions of dollars of like advertising and like marketing of all across the company and other vendors. So it's very expensive, but still they were willing to take that hit so that the filmmakers could make something that was at a high standard. So I think maybe Ano-san is on the right track. 'I think at the end of the day, people remember the work, right? And even people who work on the project, even if it's difficult, right? If the end product you're really proud of and satisfied with, all of the pain and stuff, goes away, right? You forget.
規模感は僕らとやっぱ違うけど同じ気持ちです。規模感だからバジェットが違うけど気持ちは同じです。
So yeah, the processing is obviously different from Trigger or Japan side and Pixar side, but the feelings that you put towards it, like caring for it and all that, I think that's similar. So the way we do it is different, but our thought process is similar.
I think these guys have a much harder job with the deadlines that you have to, because obviously you care about what you're doing too, but you have very hard deadlines to hit. I don't know if you guys are ever able to push anything, or if there's ever an opportunity to have a little bit more wiggle room in your schedule.
Yeah, it's basically like what you said. There's not much wiggle room, to be honest. If we do get any push, it usually just overlaps with another episode. So we just double overtime, basically. Yeah, so.
I was going to also talk about, you mentioned something about artistic success and commercial or financial success, which I think is a very, very good point. And with Pixar, they have done really a phenomenal job of handling both artistic and financial success, which is really unheard of. If you look at the history of all studios, whether it's live action, stop motion, animation, live action, documentary, to be able to balance commercial success and financial success and check both boxes is remarkable. And I guess I'm curious what the others think about that point, because I think animation is it's such a personal thing, and you want something to look so beautiful, and in almost every case, it's your work that's in front of you, and I guess how do you balance that in all of our worlds? How do you balance commercial and financial? Like you said, with one of your movies that wasn't ready to go, you had the ability to kind of halt it a little bit and work on it and get it to the point where it was ready for release. And how do we handle that dichotomy of financial success and visual success? Because I think it's a really great point that was brought up, and it's a very it's rare when it happens.
I just want to say really quick too, like it can even be heartbreaking because there is no because we've all questioned this at times, you know, for Brave or for Good Dinosaur, because I think Good Dinosaur did not perform the way that they had hoped. It was the first year we'd released 2 films, and I think a lot of the messaging didn't get across that this was a Pixar film. I had heard from several people like, this was another movie? Like, I thought you released, you know, Inside Out, and that was, you know, they thought that was the film for the year. So even though they made that choice, and we had some upheaval in the studio, the film still didn't quite perform the way they wanted. Even though they felt like they made the right choice creatively. And I'm a big fan of Kubo, and I know Kubo similarly had some struggles at the box office, but it's unmistakable, you know, a piece of high art, you know, and so I just hope that, you know, whatever that mix is, that we can, you know, keep finding it, right? Because I think we want films like Kubo out there, and we want them to be successful so that Laika can keep making those kinds of things.
I think there's mutual admiration because I have a younger daughter, 4 years old, and I rewatch movies over and over and over and over and over again. I've seen Finding Dory probably 30 times this month. And I marvel at the quality of work, you know, or you know, in any of the movies, and Inside Out, just the psychological struggles and things that they put into a movie that was a commercial success, and we're always looking to see how does that work, how does that come across. To me, it's more important. I think you and I are the same wavelength. We like drawn animation, we like things that are done beautifully by hand, but how do you translate a 2-hour movie to be financially successful and commercial and beautiful and relevant all at the same time? Or TV show, TV program. I love that. I love it when all those elements come together. And then there are times when a movie doesn't do well in box office, and you're thinking, this is an incredible film. Why didn't it perform well? Part of it is maybe it's the marketing, maybe it's the, you know, the timing of release, whatever else is out there. And like you said, two Pixar films in a year is unusual. So you have to balance all those many.
Blade Runner is the most recent example.
Yeah, good, right. But even if you think about what films in any genre have had success like that, and then think about the audience for animated films, and maybe this is another question, I know we have several out there, but who's your audience, you know, what audience are you making your films for, or programming for?
So Voltron is Legendary Defender is made for kids. Dreamworks made it for exclusively on Netflix, and you know it was made for you know general audience, but especially for kids. But fortunately, a lot of mature audience, like you know teens to 20s and 30s, you know they made the buzz for us on social network and all that. So you know, I'm happy that you know we were very happy that you know it was made for kids, but you know a lot of other grown-ups were also happy with the show. So thank you.
Yeah, and also to kind of touch on what Mark said, how to like balance the financial part of it and also the artistic part of it. Like most TV shows are made to sell toys, right? And a lot of the decisions on shows are made because of that. And the interesting part of it is like, okay, well that kind of hinders a story point that we wanted to tell if we had to sell this toy. How do we find a creative way to work with that, you know, so you kind of, if life gives you lemons, you make lemonade, right? So,
yeah. I think that is a good, a big challenge for artists too, is, you know, just on that subject, is not to throw up your hands in defeat or get upset or any of those things. It's a moment for you to be even more creative and figure out how can you give the executives what they want and still make something relevant and beautiful. So it's working within those creative restraints. I think that you can still do some amazing things.
難しいですね。
This is a difficult question.
なんか、まあ、言っちゃうとあんまり日本だとバランスが良くないんですよね。
To be truthful, Japan's not very good at balancing the financial and the visual side.
基本的にはその予算の中で作る予算、そうバジェットで。
Yeah, so like for the most part, we just work along the lines of the budget.
それを、まあ、一番の命題、一番のその目標でやる。
Yeah, so that's the main thing we do is just focusing on the and working around the budget.
で、その、まあ、もちろんその人気が出るようにとか当たるように作るけど。
And of course, we make it to aim to have our creations to be successful and popular.
だけどそうかどうかは分からないから。
But we will never know the result.
だからそうやってみんな一生懸命作ってます。
So you know, with that in mind, like trying to have it successful, but at the same time not knowing what's going to happen in the end, and keep that in mind as we work.
ただやっぱその日本のアニメで結構大きいのはマーチャンダイジングがマーチャンダイズが大きいんで。
Yeah, so with Japanese animation, the biggest part is merchandising.
その当たる先はリターンが大きいんですよ、すごく。リターンがそうマーチャンの。
So the biggest contribution to animation or our creation is the merchandising and what comes back from that.
だからそうするようにしてそれを次の作品につなげていくような作り方をしている。にプラスオンできる、予算がもう少し増やして使えるようになる。
So with the money that comes in through merchandising, we use that to go forward onto the next project and make something better.
まあそういう感じじゃないですかね。そういう権利がねあるオリジナルを作ってるスタジオは。そういう。
So that's the main thing about studios that make original works is relying on the merchandise.
それって予算をこう多くしていい作品とかいいスタッフ、いい環境で作れるようにしていきたいと思って。そうやってそれで予算を増やしながらその会社を大きくしてそのいい環境とかいいスタッフとかでいい作品を作れるようにしたいと思って。
So whatever comes in from what we do in revenue from that is what gets us to make better stuff, have better staff, and a better environment, working environment.
だから僕らもこうやって宣伝しにね、みんなに。
So yeah, that's why we're here. We go overseas to make our studios look appealing and promote it.
So let's get a question from the audience. Anybody have a question for anybody up here on the panel? Right over there.
This was kind of just touched on, and it focuses more on the Japanese side, but it applies to the American creators as well. There's a never-ending debate in the anime community about how much illegal foreign media plays a part in future production. Every couple of years in the anime community we hear, oh, anime is going to die because America keeps illegally torrenting anime. How much does that, do you feel that effect from illegal media versus what you can get licensed in your foreign partners?
By illegal media, do you mean like online streaming and stuff?
Or like torrent sites.
Yeah, yeah, okay.
やっぱアニメというのは特に外国から外国人が見るにはやっぱリモートでウェブサイトとかで見ていますよね。それでやっぱアニメを知るのかなとそういうふうに見ていると送り出しませんでだからあなたたちはこのことをどう考えますか？
なんか公式の配信サイトとかで見てくれるのはそれはまあ一番嬉しい方法だけど、まあそれでもやっぱ難しい部分ってあると思うんで、でもやっぱ一番辛いのはやっぱり僕たちが作ったものを見てもらえないのが一番辛いかな。やっぱりそういう方法を使ってでもまあその知ってもらうってことがやっぱり一番重要だから、そうだね。だから僕らもこうやって海外の人たちに日本と今同じタイミングで僕らの新作を常に今はチェックできるように、まあ、自分たちのカラーだったりトリガーだったりのタイトルはすぐ海外の人も日本とずれなく見れるような環境を作ろうと僕らも今頑張ってます。
Yeah, so we really appreciate and prefer people to actually watch it from wherever it's airing, where it's supposed to air, not from illegal sites and stuff. And it's really unfortunate that people do that, but at the same time, it's also kind of a good thing, and because people are watching it and we're getting known from that. And what we find more important is people being able to have the resource to watch our stuff, therefore getting the support and thus allowing us to go to conventions overseas and everywhere. Just getting out there to have people know our creations is, I think, the most important part. And with that, we really would prefer that both overseas and Japan, like there's a way for people to watch it at the same time when it streams. And so hopefully we'll be able to find a solution to that and find a way where both Japan and overseas can watch our creations at the same time when it's released.
なんかイリーガルな方法を使って見た作品でもそれが彼の心に刺さったら僕らが作った他の作品を見てくれたりなんかその後グッズ買ってくれたりしてくれたら何かで満たされるんでまあ見てくれるだけで嬉しいですよ。
Yeah, so even if you're watching it on a legal site, in all honesty, as long as like it touches your heart and like makes you want to watch our other creations, our other animations and stuff, like and watching that being touched and then wanting to buy merch, official merch, of course, then I think that's what's most important is having someone to love our creations and supporting us from there on out.
I think another important thing to remember too is that, like when I was younger, the main reason that some of this pirating started, right, especially in the West, was because we didn't have access to a lot of these shows, right? You wouldn't, in many cases, it was months, maybe years before you got to see a show that was released in Japan, right? And so the only way I could see these shows that were a little more current in Japan was to and this was back when they were doing VHS dubs, right? Or VHS subtitles, like fan subs. And so, and I remember, buying quite a few of these things because I had no other access to them. But then I also remember myself and many others, when a legal copy was available in better quality, I immediately went out and purchased it. So I'm sure there is some loss. I haven't done the research on it, but I would say it's probably exaggerated. Because like I said, I was buying merchandise for my favorite shows, all these things. And then I think nowadays too, because of sites like Crunchyroll and some of these other streaming sites, that gap has narrowed significantly where it's just like iTunes or any of these things. If you give a fan access at an affordable price, where they feel like they can get to it easily and quickly, I think they're going to choose, myself included. I stopped like downloading things and all that because I could get access to it so easily, and the cost was not too high, and so I think all those things have lessened that culture. It still does exist, but like I said, I think it's a question of having access or not because of something being licensed or not licensed. And I think most bands, if they have the means, they usually purchase when it's available the actual licensed copies. So I'm not sure. I would love to see like some hard like numbers, statistics. If there's any deep research that's been done on it, but yeah, I don't know.
I think it's interesting actually that you just brought up the matter of how quality sometimes changes with releases, and I think that's something that sometimes we see a lot in Omni, where the broadcast version, the quality can be very different from the disc version. Has there ever been a project that you've worked on where it has changed, from what was broadcast or put out in theaters versus what's on disc, where you look back and you go, boy, I really wish I could have done what's on the disc in the original release?
日本では多分おそらくないと思います。ソフトのDVD とかブルーレイのソフトがリリースされてからヒットするってことはまずないです。
So in our case, there hasn't been an issue. There hasn't been a time when something was broadcasted and then became popular after like a DVD CD release or something. It's just straight up broadcasting and then boom, it's popular and so forth. So yeah, there hasn't been a time where it where it wasn't popular when it was broadcasted, but then got popular once it became a available DVD or something like that.
後からこれを本当は面白かったんだってことが見つかることはあるけど、たまにまれに。でもその時にはちょっともう遅いというか、次の新作アニメは日本ではもう何百本出てくるんで、そこからムーブメントに乗るのはちょっと難しいかなっていう。
Yeah, so I mean, there have been cases where something's not popular, and then once it gets released as like a DVD, and then it becomes like kind of known, like people are like, oh, this is interesting. But even by then, there's already hundreds of new anime titles that are released, and so it's like out of the flow or apply.
I have a question, kind of more related to what you were saying. I heard that sometimes because of schedules, if there's a scene in an episode that you had to rush through and there's like some core animation that on the DVD or Blu-ray you'll go back and like fix a scene and draw the frame over to make it on model and make it look better.
Yes, apparently he's the Kobayashi-san is apparently the pro of being able to make, the...
だからそうなんですよ。残念ながらエヴァンゲリオンの劇場版に関してはアメリカの人たちは最初に公開されたのを見たことがないんですよ。 そうです。
So in the case of Evangelion, I'm pretty certain that people from overseas haven't seen the lower quality version of it when it was actually released in Japan itself, in just Japan. And so I think you guys have only seen the better part of Evangelion, like after it was retouched.
今までの3本の映画、リリース前にほぼ全カット直してるんです。
So yeah, like for example, for the movie, we fixed up all the parts that were cut off because it was so bad, but we fixed it all up, and here it is, and you can see it.
だからまあ結局はまあそのテレビもそうですけど、やっぱりリミットがあって、タイムリミットがあって、その出さざるを得ないですよね。アニメーターも、まあ、ディレクターも含めて。
And when it's released on TV, when it's broadcasted, there's also like a time limit, and so we're not able to fit everything in and with the same flow that we want it in. And so what's shown on TV is like a little more cut off, whereas whatever shows up on DVD would have a little more.
だからやっぱりそのクリエイターはより良くしたいし、あとみんなやっぱりそのよりそのお客さんに対してサービスがあるからやっぱり直しちゃう。
And as a creator, we understand that, as a creator, we have a lot of things we want to fix ourselves, and we want to give you guys the right service of providing you a good quality animation, and so that's what we try to do when it becomes released as a DVD, is to fix it up as much as possible.
本当は良くないと思いますけどね。その直すことが。分かんないですけど、予算がないこともあるから、その直す。
And I honestly don't think it's the best idea to have the time or the labor to fix things up because of the budgeting.
まあだから直してない作品は予算がないんだと思います。その予算
So whenever a project is not fixed up, that just means that we didn't have the budget to do that.
たまに昔あったんですけど、そのグレン・ラガンの頃、その参加していて違うカットを担当していたアニメーターがその放送したバージョンのそのシーンがどうしても納得いかないと、クオリティ的に。なんで DVD って出す時は俺タダで直すから全部直させてくれ僕にっていう、はい、その人がこのシーンをもっと良くした方がいいから納得いかないと、だから全部僕かっこよく書き直すからお金はいらないからもう全部書きたいという人が何人かいました。やりましたね。
So in the case of Gurren Lagann, like there were many scenes where some of our staff looked at it, and even though it was released, they looked at it and they said, I'm totally not satisfied with this. We gotta fix it up. I don't care whether we have a budget or not. We gotta fix it. And there have been so many staff that did that, and were willing to do it for free just so that they could have the right quality, and they actually did it.
日本はたまにそういう、クレイジーな人がいますね。
Japan's crazy that way.
What are the perks of being in the animation field?
Sleep. We're so wealthy.
The Kumoricon VIP room.
I would say while they're talking, one of the great perks is that we get to be in an industry that cares so much about every single detail. We all grew up loving art and stories and things like that. We get to be a part of something that's unique, and with every animation tale, it's something you can do anything with animation, that you could never do in live action or documentary. There's just something about being around artists all the time, and it's, again and again, with everything when there's good, there's challenges, but the idea that we get to be around people who care about everything to the nth degree, and beauty, and sound effects, and all the different works we get to do, and we get to do it for a long, long period of time. And be involved in this kind of industry again, very visual.
Kind of what, off of what you said, I guess the greatest perk is just doing what you love.
And also, as I work, it doesn't feel like you're working as a job. It feels like, I always feel like I just do what I love. So I never felt like, oh, it's a job I hate. Usually animators, they become animator because they want to be an animator. It's not like, oh, I hate this job, I have to do it for money or for a living. No one probably has that dream in animation. I think we all became an animator, and director, and artist because we were thriving to do that. So I think that's one of the greatest things working in the industry. And I had only 12 followers on Twitter in the beginning, and suddenly after Khara, I got thousands. It's like one day, I was blown away by, so you get some more followers.
I think for me, growing up in the Midwest, and you hear this story a lot, even from directors like Andrew Stanton, director of Finding Nemo. I had no idea that this was a job, right? Like, you watch these things kind of passively and you enjoy it, and as you get older, you recognize, oh, like there's this artist that is behind this thing, or but you still don't. It's still kind of a mystery how it all works. And then you watch some behind the scenes, and you get a little bit more of an insight. But still, like coming from the Midwest out to California was a big jump for me. And then on top of that, getting to work with, the guy who designed Buzz and Woody, Bob Polly, and so many other talented people. And then on top of that, all of these kind of like, because I grew up with comics and animation and Japanese animation, but just by dint of working at Pixar, which attracted, because it's such a small community, we're all mutual fans of each other's work. I got to meet some of my teen heroes, in the anime industry because they're fans of Pixar films, and so that for me that was huge. Just people that I never really thought I would ever meet, and they came to where I was. I actually went to Japan for the first time last year, which was also another great thing, working with Wacom, getting that opportunity. That was a huge opportunity and a real blessing. So for me, it was just kind of like checking off all these different boxes. And on top of that, I get to draw every day and work with an amazing team and joke and laugh. And there's definitely hard times as well, but it's the first job where consistently, week after week, I'm excited to go in. And there's always some little thing to get excited about.
That point, I'm not sure of the translation. Okay, you guys hear me? What is it that a child does when they're 2 years old, or 1 or 3 years old, or whatever, when there's crayons and blank paper? It's sort of like what we get to do now, or in our case, play with dolls, right? But just the idea of expressing creativity without having to look at it like it's an assignment. You have to go do something. It's about expressing yourself creatively, drawing. Kids love to draw, and we're just big kids. It's summer.
They like what you said. we love figurines, so I wish we were able to play with figurines every day. But we don't have the confidence to be able to manipulate figurines as well as the Laika studio.
I've seen their offices.
I have too.
There's an animator there, Akira Amamiya, and I took a picture. I should post it online. I think he gave me permission, but he's an animator, and his desk is basically all the way around the top and the side is his cube, and then behind his seat, so he actually has to step over a pile of robots before he can.
彼の机は椅子の後ろまで全部おもちゃで囲まれてるんで、歩いて椅子にたどり着けないんですよ。そうジャンプして飛ばないと席に行けない。
Yeah, so his desk is a real mess filled with toys all over. He has to jump over to get to his seat.
でそのアニメーター用の机があるんですけど、その机の上で絵を描くスペースはこんぐらいしか残ってない。
Yeah, there's like a table specifically for doing animation, and on that there's like this really teeny space where he can actually do his work.
だからいつも会議室に行って絵描いてる。
So he's always working at the meeting room instead.
この間ポリが会議室に行ったらトランスフォーマーのデバスターが置いてある。デバスター。
Yeah, last time we went to the meeting room, Trigger's meeting room, and there was like this giant Transformers Devastator there.
デバスターってわかる？わかる？デバステーター。
Devastator? Oh, Devastator.
それが置いてあって、そのポストイットが貼ってあって、ポストイットが貼ってあって、デバステーターに。
And there was like a post-it on that giant figure toy.
ちょっとだけ置かせてください。アメミヤって書いてある。
Please let me borrow this. Amemiya is what it said.
そういうスタジオですよ。
And that's the kind of studio we are. We're so blessed.
So, just real quick, we've got like 15 minutes left. So, what is everybody's favorite animation project that you've ever worked on before? It can be a little project or a big project.
My favorite animation project is one that will never see the light of day because I did a Laika animation camp where we did our own animation. We did a little bit of drawn animation, a little bit of CG, and it was only like a 5-second piece. And I kept trying to perfect it again and again and again. I still think there's a great movie out there, but I'm not sure where it is. But it sort of goes to the point of whatever I'm working on is sort of my favorite thing. So it's kind of a lame answer. But the idea that whatever you're working on becomes like you're something that you love to do, and it's the greatest thing.
I have the same answer as Mark. Basically, it's just whatever I'm currently working on, and right now it's Voltron, and it's literally been 3 years of my life. So, and I'm still working on it.
I think definitely my highlight that I feel that project I favor are coming from Khara to Voltron, which is the moment. So out of I worked on like 20 different TV shows. Out of many shows, I think those two are most memorable. And I also worked with Eugene for that whole project, so it was more memorable. Yeah.
I think there's a few things for me on this answer. I worked on a TV special called Toy Story Chair, and I got to design an original kind of old school style Japanese robot for that. And that was a huge kind of like checklist for me. And then getting to work on Coco was really important for me because my wife's family is from Mexico. So that was also kind of a really memorable thing for me. But actually the film that I'm on right now has probably been the most fulfilling, I think, of my career so far. Because I have a lot more involvement in the design of the characters and participation in the film. I feel like I'm a lot more a part of the creation of the film than I ever have before. So yeah, currently right now, I'm in a really great spot. Oh yeah, they announced it at D23. We don't have a title yet, but it's based on what? No. But that will probably come eventually. It's based on the director of Monsters University, Dan Scanlon, who's growing up with his brother. They didn't know their father. His father passed away when they were very young, and it's set in kind of a suburban fantasy. So it's all fantasy characters in a kind of a modern setting, and it's about these two brothers kind of trying to rediscover who their father was.
いやまあでもそのグラントも言ってた通りなんだけど、まあ、常に今やってるプロジェクトが一番楽しいですよ。楽しいし思い入れがあります。
Yeah, so as Grant said, he always takes whatever we want to say before us, so we're kind of envious. But anyways, as Grant said, we really like the thing we're working on right now currently, and it's just the most memorable so far.
いやだからやっぱりその昔僕らが作ったグレン・ラガンっていう作品でもやっぱり主人公に言わせてたんですけど、いや僕たちはやっぱこう1分前の自分より常に進化し続けてるんですよ、僕らは。グレン・ラガンっていう作品で主人公のセリフで本編で言わせたんですけど、僕らは常に1分前の自分よりも常に進化し続けていると。だから今作ってる作品が一番ハイクオリティの作品になるはずだと。
Yeah, so as we had Shimon, or one of the main character of Gurren Lagann say, every minute we are evolving, and so with that in mind, you know, that's what we believe. We believe that every minute we are evolving, and every minute we are creating something much better. And so that's why whatever we are currently working on right now is what we think is the most fun and most memorable so far.
まあ常に今が最高の状態ので僕らアニメーションをしていると、まあ、信じて作って満足して作ってます。
So we believe that the thing we're creating right now at this moment, at that time, is the best quality we can ever do, and then that just keeps going up every minute. But you know, Khara might have a different opinion.
いやなんかね、でもさっきこっちでもちょっとこう日本語で話してて、いつもねグラントが先に言っちゃうの、僕らの言いたいことを。そうそう。
Yeah, so like as we were just saying, like to the side, you know, Grant, you're always saying what we want to say before us. Like, yeah, like this order is so unfair. Like, you guys are getting the juicy bits.
多分ね、だからみんな結構似てるんですよ、なんだかんだで。
But all in all, I think it's because we're all similar.
これがねハリウッドの強さですよ。
そうそうそう。
This is the power of Hollywood.
なんかそうだね。それでアニメーションっていうものを通して僕ら日本で作ってるし、みんなこうアメリカで作ってるけど、やっぱりそれ何か共通のものがあるし、その考え方も結構似てるんだなっていうのをいろいろ言われて、今日改めて感じました。うんね。そうそうそうそう。そうそうそう、いろんなジャンルだけど。
Yeah, so we're obviously from different places, like Japan versus America, and like each studio has their own theme to it, and we're all like a different genre. But being at this panel, we've come to realize that we're actually really, really similar. Like sure, we've got our own differences and strong parts of our each specific roles, but the thoughts that we put into our works are all so similar.
I think the real question we should ask Kobayashi-san is, after looking back on 20 years of his career, which Evangelion project is his favorite?
思い出とか。
またもう数十年しますよね。
でもそういう意味では僕はそのキャリアの最初の頃はやっぱり安野さんとか鶴巻さんで多分その前スティーブとかと話した時もそうだったけどすごく憧れの監督だったんですよ。すごい安野さんも鶴巻さんとかも僕が学生の時とかにもすごいクールなアニメーションいっぱい作ってて憧れだったんですけどもうその人たちと仕事してるっていうこと自体が結構エキサイティングな。
So for myself, being able to work with a studio with a great director that I really looked up to, such as Anno-san, just being in his presence or working under him just was the greatest thing that I've probably ever done.
そうね。そう。悪いの。いや違うでしょきっと。一番漫才になっちゃったりするけど。いやでも本当にそういう意味でその上のね世代のディレクターともそうだしやっぱりそのねアメリカのアニメーターたちと僕もだからその遊びに行って友達の紹介で会ったんですグランとかとかそうコミコンとかに行った時に会ってそれ以来なんでやっぱりそのねさっきグランとか言ったけどその仲間だなっていう感覚とか。
So let's see, I just so happened to be going overseas with like a friend just to play like as a tourist, and then that's where I met Grant. And so yeah, with that in mind, it's also the friendship that you make, the bonds you create through this field.
I think that's a very good point because it is such a small world and a small industry. I think for me it's really exciting to get to like meet all these guys, see what creative stuff they're doing, and obviously them as well. Kind of, because I think the best art, it reminds us of what we have in common, how we are similar as a humanity, and it helps us understand our shared kind of experience on this planet. And I think that the best art kind of crosses those cultural barriers, and that's why anime can be so popular and a very different Western culture, or vice versa. A Pixar film can be so popular in the East because at the core of it, if it's a good story, it's about characters with struggles and hopes and dreams, just like we all have. So, yeah.
I would agree with that wholeheartedly. It's so well said. I mean, we're wherever we go to festivals or events, we get to meet these incredibly talented people, and we get to share something that we love to talk about. It's what we do every day. It goes back to that first question: what we love to do, what we love about our jobs, and such admiration for everything that make the anime. In Pixar, I know several of your coworkers, and we're all in this together because we all love animation so much. Obviously, we're in an industry where we're up against each other sometimes, but there's such mutual respect that we get to be, in this world together. All, in every case, every single one of the panels here, I think hopefully feels the same way as we do.
We do think that way too, like
Stories, like when you mentioned Inside Out, watching that movie, I was the whole time thinking, and it's so beautifully done and so vivid colors. And I met one of the artists on the film, and everything that goes into it, and you're thinking the same thing, right? It's right there.
Yeah, and I think what we think is most important is not building a wall between us.
Well, I would like to give a big thank you to Mark, Eugene, Steve, Grant, Waka-san, Kobayashi-san, and Koyama-san, as well as Karen for translating for us.
ありがとうございます。皆さんと一緒にパネルディスカッション参加できてすごく光栄でした。
Yeah, we're so honored to be able to have a panel with all of you guys.
このくもりコンに来れたからこそやれたことだと思うんで、すごく感謝しています。
And we're very grateful for Kumoricon to be able to set this up and have this happen.
And I believe almost everybody still has an autograph session later today, and Grant will be doing sketches for his autograph sessions, and Khara also still has a panel left today, so definitely check your schedules so that you can see the rest of their stuff for the rest of Kumoricon, and have a great day. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.